He stands on stage at the MTV Video Music Awards. Cameras everywhere, millions watching. He's not just a musician anymore. He's a cultural force, a fashion icon, a brand, a controversy, a genius, a lightning rod. Everything he touches sparks conversation. His albums redefine genres. His fashion choices become trends. His statements become headlines. Love him or hate him, you cannot ignore him. His name is Kanye West, and 15 years earlier, nobody would give him a chance. They told him he couldn't rap. They told him to stay behind the boards. They told him to know his place. He refused. And in refusing, he changed everything. This is the story of how a producer from Chicago became one of the most influential artists of the 21st century. Not by following the rules, but by rewriting them entirely. Kanye Omari West was born in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents were educated and ambitious. His mother, Donda West, was an English professor. His father, Ray West, was a photojournalist. After his parents divorced, Kanye moved with his mother to Chicago's South Side. Donda worked at Chicago State University, and Kanye grew up in an environment that valued learning, but he wasn't drawn to traditional academics. He was drawn to art, to music. By age 13, he was writing rap lyrics and making beats, deconstructing hip-hop to understand what moved people. His early production was influenced by East Coast hip-hop, but he added something different: soul. He'd find forgotten melodies from old records and reimagine them. The result was nostalgic but fresh, emotional but hard. After high school, Kanye briefly attended Chicago State University, where his mother taught, but he dropped out to pursue music full-time. It was a decision that worried his mom, but she eventually supported him, seeing his total commitment. For the next few years, Kanye worked as a producer in Chicago, building a local reputation. His beats weren't just backdrops for rappers, they were songs in themselves. In the late 90s, his big break came producing for artists on Rockefeller Records, the label co-founded by Jay-Z. Kanye produced tracks for Jay-Z's 2001 album The Blueprint, including the hit Hova. The album was a classic, and Kanye's production was a major reason why. He was officially on the map as a producer. But Kanye didn't want to be just a producer. He wanted to rap. He had stories to tell. The problem? Nobody else believed him. The early 2000s hip-hop landscape had a formula. You needed street credibility, a tough image. Kanye didn't fit that mold. He was a middle-class kid whose mom was a college professor. He wore polo shirts and backpacks. He rapped about self-doubt, materialism, faith, and family. The industry didn't know what to do with him. Label executives told him to focus on production. He was rejected repeatedly. Not because he lacked talent, but because he didn't fit the archetype of a rapper. But Kanye was relentless. In 2002, he was in a near-fatal car accident. His jaw was shattered, requiring it to be wired shut. Most people would have taken time off. Kanye recorded a song with his jaw still wired. That song was Through the Wire. He literally rapped through the pain, through the hardware holding his face together. It was raw, vulnerable, and unlike anything in mainstream hip-hop, and it got attention. Rockefeller finally agreed to sign him as a rapper, mostly because his persistence made him impossible to ignore. In 2004, Kanye released his debut album, The College Dropout. It was a gamble. The production featured sped-up soul samples, live instruments, and layered vocals. The lyrics were introspective, dealing with faith, consumerism, and self-worth. Through the Wire became a hit. Then came Jesus Walks, a song about faith that somehow crossed over to mainstream radio. The album sold millions, earned 10 Grammy nominations, and won Best Rap Album. Kanye West, the producer nobody wanted to take seriously as a rapper, had just released one of the most influential debut albums of the decade, but this was just the beginning. After The College Dropout, he could have played it safe. He did the opposite. In 2005, he released Late Registration, an album more ambitious, orchestral, and refined. He worked with film score composer John Bryan, The result was cinematic. Songs like Gold Digger became massive hits, while tracks like Hey Mama showcased deep emotional depth. The album debuted at #1 and won more Grammys. Then in 2007, he released Graduation, and this was where he made a strategic statement. He moved his release date to go head-to-head with 50 Cent's Curtis. It was a battle between traditional gangster rap and the new, eclectic sound Kanye represented. Graduation outsold Curtis easily, signaling a major shift in the culture. Hip-hop was evolving, and Kanye was leading that evolution. The album itself was futuristic, electronic, and stadium-sized, bringing EDM influences into hip-hop like never before. Then in 2008, tragedy struck. His mother, Kanye West, passed away unexpectedly. It devastated him. Around the same time, a long-term relationship ended. Instead of making another commercial album, he released 808s and Heartbreak. It was unlike anything he'd done. Minimal production, auto-tuned vocals, and songs about loss and loneliness. He sang, not rapped. Critics were divided, but it influenced an entire generation of artists. Drake, The Weeknd, Travis Scott all cite it as a foundational influence. Kanye had created the blueprint for the melodic, emotional hip-hop that would dominate the next decade. In 2010, he released what many consider his masterpiece, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It was maximalist, epic, and received universal critical acclaim. It's often cited as one of the greatest albums ever made. Kanye wasn't just making albums anymore, he was making statements about what albums could be. And then he turned his attention to fashion. He had always been interested, but just like the music industry, the fashion world didn't take him seriously. He started with sneaker collaborations. In 2009, he released the Air Yeezy with Nike. It sold out immediately. In 2013, he partnered with Adidas, and the Yeezy line was born. The designs were unconventional minimalist, earth tones, chunky silhouettes. At first, fashion critics were skeptical. Then they became some of the most sought-after sneakers in the world, and the Yeezy brand became a billion-dollar enterprise. Kanye was a designer and entrepreneur. Meanwhile, his music kept evolving. Yeezus in 2013 was abrasive and industrial. The Life of Pablo in 2016 was an album he updated after its release. Then came Ye in 2018, and the gospel album Jesus is King in 2019. Each project was different. Each sparked debate, but as his creative output grew, his public life became more turbulent. Kanye's relationship with the public has always been complicated. He's always been outspoken. In 2005, during a telethon for Hurricane Katrina relief, he went off-script with a controversial statement about the government's response. In 2009, at the MTV VMAs, he interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech, one of the most infamous moments in award show history. These moments created a perception of Kanye as unpredictable, brilliant, but volatile. In recent years, his public statements have sparked even more controversy, alienating parts of his audience and damaging business relationships. It's important to note that Kanye has spoken publicly about his personal struggles. What's complex is separating the art from the artist. Can you appreciate someone's creative contributions while disagreeing with their actions? The story of Kanye West isn't simple. It's messy, it's human. So what is Kanye West's legacy? Musically, it's undeniable. He changed the sound of hip-hop multiple times. The College Dropout proved you didn't need a stereotype to be successful. 808s and Heartbreak inspired a generation to embrace vulnerability. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy redefined musical ambition. In fashion, he proved that hip-hop artists could compete at the highest levels of design. Yeezy changed sneaker culture. Culturally, he demonstrated that artists could be outspoken, for better and for worse. But his story is also a cautionary tale about the pressures of fame and what happens when personal struggles play out on a public stage. His influence is everywhere, from Chance the Rapper to Tyler, the Creator, who see him as a model for being multidimensional. Kanye West's story is about ambition, innovation, and persistence, but it's also about complexity. He's not a simple hero or villain. He's a deeply talented artist whose work has inspired millions and whose actions have disappointed many. Both things can be true. What can we learn? First, that rejection isn't final. He was told he couldn't rap, and he proved them all wrong. Second, that evolution is necessary. He never made the same album twice. Third, that influence comes from authenticity. People connected with his refusal to conform. Fourth, that creativity has consequences. Genius doesn't excuse harm, and talent doesn't erase responsibility. Finally, that legacy is complicated. Kanye's story reminds us that success and fame don't solve internal struggles. Greatness and struggle aren't opposites, they're often intertwined. Kanye West changed music, fashion, and what it means to be an artist. And whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny his impact. That's the legacy, complex, undeniable, and utterly human. Thanks for watching.